Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks so much for joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand. Let's work out what's most important. Is it that Poland has been attacked by Russia? We'll have a quick look at that. Wherever you're watching us, join us over on Rumble, by the way, if you can. Thanks, Mug Club, for the raid. Thanks, Tim Paul, for the raid. We'll be with you for an hour. We'll be covering the stories that we consider to be of most important. Indeed, trying to aggregate them and prioritise them is pretty hard because there's it ranges from potential war, revelations on the Epstein files, Hamas leaders killed in Qatar, protests across the world, the British government trying to reform. It's pretty fascinating. Let's start with this, because I suppose loads of us that thought that the threat of Putin and Russia was being used to create a kind of to legitimise expenditure on the military have got to now look at this bit of information.
Now, there's one other main story today that we're covering, and that is the Polish president has called it, in fact, in the last half hour, an unprecedented moment in NATO history. This is after Poland, of course, scrambled its own and NATO air defences to shoot down drones after a Russian air attack on western Ukraine. The first time in the Ukraine war that Warsaw has engaged assets in its airspace. Volodymyr Zelensky saying it sets a dangerous precedent for Europe, calling for a strong response from allies.
I try and think about who benefits from the reporting and who benefits from the events themselves. And in that vein, let's have a look at Israel's strikes on Hamas leadership in Qatar.
It was the attack no one expected. In broad daylight near the center of Qatar's capital. It was another demonstration of hard Israeli power, a serious escalation in Israel's multi-front war in the Middle East, and a blow for America's diplomatic efforts to end the Gaza war. Hamas leaders were in this building to discuss the latest American proposals for a Gaza ceasefire. Hamas has listed its dead. It insists they do not include their Doha-based leadership.
Because there's been quite a lot of high-profile encounters, conferences, conventions and meetings, hasn't there, lately? Xi meeting with Putin and Kim Jong-il over in China. There were the recent encounters between Putin and Trump and Alaska. I wonder how much influence, impact we can have on geopolitical matters when it comes to near-peer poles wrestling it out and wrangling for supremacy in the world. It seems like it's kind of beyond our reach and comprehension. I reckon that if we can just try to detect as best we can what truths might be detectable within it, perhaps we can just get on with our own little humble lives. And that's what we're going to try and do over the next hour. If you're watching this anywhere other than Rumble, come over to Rumble. You can join us on Locals, of course, and you can you might be watching this on YouTube, but ultimately it ain't beneficial to us if you watch it there. I want to talk a little bit about this NBC poll that says that women no longer regard having children as the most important thing in their lives. And there's a kind of disparity between that and the way that men regard it. Let's have a look at this story. So here it is. Gen Z adults, 18 to 29-year-olds, what do they consider to be important to have a successful life? The combination of gender and politics produce two very different sets of priorities. So I suppose men and women having vastly differing priorities. It's hardly surprising when you look at the way that the culture war is unfolding and the continual pitting of men and women against one another rather than in alliance. Let's have a look at how some commentators on the right regarding it. Matt Walsh, having children was the most important thing to men. It was the least important thing to women. Tells you everything you need to know. And let's have a look at what Charlie Kirk says about that before telling you. Let me think. I've always wanted to have children, didn't you? Didn't you always think it would be the most important thing and the most beautiful thing that could happen to you? But were you not too consumed with self? Do you see the kind of creep of your culture's reach on every aspect of your life? Like the normalization of feeding your children bad food, addicting them young to sugar, normalizing screens. Like the kind of invisible evil that you continually encounter but can't confront because it's normalized is perhaps the greatest problem of our time. That evil is present and normalized, masked and continual. And I suppose the idea that women don't consider having children to be a priority, well, what else would we be doing? On a foundation of connection to God, becoming a parent, remaining connected. I can't imagine what else you'd be doing with your life. Well, I can, because I did it for years and years and years. I lived for 40 years where primarily I pursued myself. Pursued my own goals, my own crazy aims. Bamboss in the Rumble chat says, I'd love to hear Russell covering digital ID. We'll be looking right later on this week. If you looked at Russell Brand Unpacked, we did a brilliant episode on digital ID in the UK, loads on the unrest across the UK, and we've done some stories on NATO arming up, which obviously is a story that's going to escalate in light of these this fracas between Poland and Russia. Let's have a look at what Charlie Kirk's saying about family, and then we'll jump into some of that as well.
What is going on with women and not wanting to prioritize family?
Yeah, this is a pattern that I've seen time and time on these college campuses where young men are ordering their life correctly. They want to first and foremost have children, get married, and then have a nice job or to be able to travel. If you look deeper into this data, it's completely consistent with other data we've seen the last couple of years. Young women, they don't value having children. And this is one of the reasons why we are seeing a fertility collapse in the West. We're seeing less and less young people get married. We're seeing more and more people go into their 30s to have children. Now, mind you, this is starting to change the last 18 months especially. We are seeing a little bit of a turning of the corner, if you will, as the country is starting to get more into traditionalism and young people are starting to go back to church. But if you play out the liberal worldview, the Kamala Harris worldview, to its furthest possible logical point, you have a country with literally no future. When you play out the logical endpoint of President Trump's agenda of where young men voted for him, you have one of lots of children, increasing communities, and you also don't have a need then for mass immigration. And this all kind of ties together. Trump voters, young men, they want family, children, and legacy. Young women who voted for Kamala Harris, they want careerism, consumerism, and loneliness. That is a dramatic divide that is going to play out in our politics for the years to come.
Maybe what you could think about for a moment while trying to wrap your head around some of these ideas is the difference between an animal that's in a farm, an animal that's in a zoo, and an animal that's in the wild. I suppose what we live now in are managed cycles and conditions that are so sort of synthetic and controlled that we don't even really know what we're supposed to be doing here. How long are you able to spend in the presence of nature? How long are you able to spend in the presence of God? How often are you able to draw a breath and gently exhale without some sort of artificial stimulant, something that you've eaten or something that you're looking at, or some terrible and invasive idea controlling and curtailing your inner space? The United Kingdom seems at the moment to be curating itself towards something beyond dystopian, and the response to this bit of artwork by Banksy is interesting. Now, Banksy, he's been a famous street artist for a long while. In fact, when he first became famous in the United Kingdom, he was very much affiliated with the left, and perhaps he still is. And certainly the issues of free speech and the use of art as protest is an idea that's strongly associated with the left. He, of course, has recently done a mural, and you can see that the mural itself is like a judge pounding with a gavel upon a protester. The art's had to be covered up in the UK because, you know, provocative art is a dangerous thing. Now, that bit of art don't explicitly say that it's about the repression of protests around Palestine in the UK, does it? It's talking more generally about free speech. And I think that's important because what I find most difficult about working in this space is when it becomes like a football match, when it becomes like a sport tournament, when everyone's approach to every single artifact that's put in front of us is partisan. Ah, right, this person's been stabbed on a train. How can we manipulate this for our agenda? Ah, there's been a bit of art in the UK, or a cabinet reshuffle, or missiles in Poland, or whatever it is. Every single event is utilised in order to point score and to justify a particular perspective. And until we operate on a basis of truth and principle, I think we're going to just contribute to this turgid quagmire of digital turbulence that doesn't lead us anywhere. So let's have a look at art as protest and the principle of free speech, and not concern ourselves with whether this free speech is the rights of British natives to protest against migration and their use and the government sanctioning of hotels being used to house migrants, and a lot of British people don't want that anymore, or whether it's for the free speech of people to protest on behalf of Palestine and Palestinian people who the protesters believe are being subject to a genocide. In a sense, if you believe in this principle of free speech, obviously you shouldn't care what that free speech is being used to do. And do you find that it's a dispiriting experience to note that people's attitude towards free speech varies when they know the subject that's being spoken of? Let me know what you think about that in the comments and the chat. Let's have a look at this. Let's use for a while this like Banksy piece to underscore it. Man, I first heard of that dude down there in Bristol when I was still a smackhead, when I was still a drug addict, when every town I went to or every country I went to, I just had to find out where people could buy drugs, where I had to find homeless people in order to score. I was never really that hooked up or connected, never really that happy being cool or on the peripheries of a counterculture. And Banksy there, he was he was renowned even then and truly underground and avant-garde. This might be the event, the incident that unmasks Banksy, which will show you that while he is traditionally associated with the left, it's a left-wing government that might actually take invasive and abrupt action that never took place when there were a variety of different, more authoritarian, conservative governments in place. Let's have a look at this. So Banksy could be unmasked as police investigate this, this story. So it seems that the British public are pretty keen to see this piece of art, regardless of whether or not the authorities are trying to censor it. Let's check it out.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is it's not a sign. It's like it's not a movie. Yeah, and then it's got George's wedding ring behind there. Oh, yeah. There we go.
Yeah, reset yourself a little while. Reset yourself for a moment. Because I have a lot of conversations with people that are overtly and very definitively conservative or right-wing, like Laura Loomer yesterday or Tommy Robinson earlier this week. I get the kind of opportunity to note how tribalism divides us to the point of nullification. That people would rather be right than happy, would rather score a point than form an alliance. See this, looking at my homeland there with people like lab rats scampering to glance at a work of art concealed. Like, what set of relationships entitle a government even to put that up in front of just a bit of graffiti? How fragile and how teetering on the precipice of collapse must a nation be that a mural, a somewhat innocuous mural, in fact, of a judge pounding a protester with a gavel, like, what is this? This is like when you hear like sort of mad stuff about, well, I've got to say, like Nazi Germany, where everything was considered so fretful. Let's have a look at the process of removal of this art, which apparently is undertaken.
Why don't they just remove it? This is like quite a good representation of what the people are thinking right now, and yet you want to just reject that. This is part of the modern part of the building. It's got holes in it for cameras and everything, and you can't preserve this. This is the modern part of the building. And it can't be removed from the place. Doesn't matter if the principle is why it's there in the first place.
Tell you the story better.
We've done a really good video on Russell Brand Unpacked about how Britain is on the brink of civil war. This is, of course, the kind of fiery rhetoric that's engaged in a lot when there's unhappiness and dissatisfaction. Prior to the election in your country, there was a lot of talk of America, there's going to be secession, it's falling apart. I don't know, man. Does it seem that in general it's been more peaceful since Trump has been elected, particularly with these rather more significant geopolitical events that are unfolding that we touched on earlier, a moment or two ago, with the ongoing crisis in the Middle East and the ongoing escalation of tensions between Russia and NATO. This, I suppose, it's sort of NATO versus Russia, really, isn't it, with Ukraine as a kind of proxy. I wonder if we're able to recognise that while these geopolitical battles take place on a plane that's kind of inaccessible to the majority of us, domestically, people are experiencing very similar things in all of our countries. Certainly the Anglophonic and sort of classical European countries, freedom of speech issues, concerns about migration, loss of identity, despair, even the poll about women not wanting to have kids anymore suggests a kind of disillusionment, and that you're receiving your values from your culture rather than from God or your spirit or intuition. If you can't have a general consensus around what it is to be a man or a woman, or what a family is, or what peace is, or what principles we abide by, it's going to be difficult to hold together a nation. So I do think that the UK is in serious the metaphor that was used in the analysis we did is that while stenographers and experts in earthquakes can't accurately predict exactly when an earthquake will happen, they can observe tectonic movement. And Britain was described as a country fraught with fault lines, that there would inevitably be some kind of disruption. And this kind of pitiful display around Banksy seems like an indication that they can't even tolerate pretty mild and modest protest. And the fact that on the left, people are dissatisfied for a variety of identity issues and the subject of Palestine and Israel, and people on the right are unhappy because of migration issues. That's not a country that can be held together for very long, I would contest. But let me know what you think in the comments and chat. Crypt AEA says, just say it, Russell, the UK has fallen. Yeah, it kind of looks like that, mate. That's a pretty succinct way of saying it. But I've got to fill an hour, and I've got a lot to tell you during that time. And the sort of point I want to get across is that while the great spectres of mighty nations and near-peer war looms, and it's oppressive and terrifying, perhaps those kind of threats have always been present. And maybe you could contest too that the threat and blight of poverty has always been present. But did you see this? The McDonald's CEO, I think, says that Americans are just not eating anymore. Meals are dropping out, not because of intermittent fasting, not because people want them abs, baby, but because people are simply too poor.
And part of what we also saw was that, particularly with middle and lower income consumers, they're feeling under a lot of pressure right now. I think there's a lot of commentary about what's the state of the economy, how's it doing, and what we see is it's really kind of a two-tier economy. If you're upper income, earning over $100,000, things are good. The stock markets are near all-time highs. You're feeling, quite confident about things. You're seeing international travel. All those barometers of upper income consumers are doing quite well. What we see with middle and lower income consumers is actually a different story. It's that consumers under a lot of pressure. In our industry, traffic for lower income consumers is down double digits. And it's because people are either choosing to skip a meal, so we're seeing breakfast. People are actually skipping breakfast, or they're choosing to just eat at home. And so for our...
They're starving. People are starving to death. What if I didn't eat food? Maybe that would be easier. Maybe I can eke out a few more days on the planet that way. In my country, Keir Starmer has reorganised his cabinet, a kind of literal reshuffling of the deck chairs as the Titanic continues to descend. Let's have a look at how Keir Starmer handles that, because I'm always pretty grateful to get the opportunity to see him on camera and in public. Let's check him out, because, I like to see his people skills.
Well, good morning, colleagues. Let me welcome you to this...
Colleagues, when I say call, you say league. Call, league, co, league, co. We can't keep doing this.
Cabinet team and to the next stage of our journey as we move from the stage of fixing foundations now on to the stage of national renewal.
What's that? Body language. Don't do that. With some of the rumours about Keir Starmer, that's not a good hand gesture to default to, Keir. Not with them Ukrainian lads firebombing your car and stuff. Oh dear, God love him.
Renewal. And you are all here around this table.
We're round a table. This is a table. We're here. Now, why am I doing that? This is my binoculars. This is for when I go skiing. In the off-season, I'd like to have a little ski.
Each and every one of you, because you're the right people for this stage of our journey, the right people, therefore, to focus
Oh dear, like he doesn't know what to do with his hands, does he? Now he's sort of doing the double self-fist bump. Here, I've got a black fella to write me out. It's David Lammy. He's one of my pals. I'll fist bump my blooming self if I have to.
Therefore, to focus on our priorities, which are economic growth and national renewal. And the right people to heed the patriotic call to lift up our country and take it forward to national renewal for millions of working people. And that focus on economic growth and national renewal is not one department or some departments.
Oh, he's doing it again. He's milking that imaginary goat.
Departments. It's every department. It's everybody around this table. That is the priority of the government, because our mission is to deliver for working people. And that is written through the plan for change, and that is why we've always focused on living standards and in making sure people are better off, on public services and making sure that our NHS is up and moving forward and fit for the future, and on the security that so many people deserve, whether that's the security in their own neighbourhood.
He shouldn't do that as a job, should he? Like, that's not someone who belongs in front of the public, because everything he's doing is unusual and indicative of unconscious activity that he should be dealing with.
He's just
in
stuck
therapy.
in it. He keeps going back to it. He's like, how do I get out of this?
Oh, God, I've committed to this now. If I can make sense of it. Now, I'm looking to the future of Britain. In this direction, prosperity. Over here, wrong eye. There, we've got too much migrate. Now, look, we've got flags up, see? So we do care about England. Now, wait, you stand here, you stand there. We'll have a lovely afternoon.
Security in their own neighbourhood, so they feel safe and secure in their own neighbourhood, or the security.
Look at that lady. What's going on with her? She doesn't seem committed to the meeting either. She's not even paying attention to him, and she's like half a yard from his head.
Is that like a standard English lady?
Yeah, not so much now. We've bred them out. That haircut, we don't have that so much. That used to be your common deputy head mistress, maybe even next door neighbour, possibly a dinner lady, lunch lady in your language. She'd be called Jean or something like that. Jean next door's come. Oi, Joyce, come over. Would you mind feeding my cat? I've got to go to the doctor's.
Yeah, she looks like a Joyce.
Well, actually, what she probably is the Home Secretary.
Neighbourhood, or the security of knowing, as they must know, that our borders are secure and our country is safe. None of that is possible without economic growth, and that's why it has to be the number one priority. This is, above all else, a team effort. We are the government. We are obviously representing different departments around the table, as you must and you will. But you're not just representing one department, you are representing the government. And this is something, therefore, all of us, the public in the end, they don't judge one department, they judge the government as a whole. And that is why we must always work as one team. I think it's important that we are very clear about who we're up against. We're up against those that feed off the politics of grievance, those that do not want problems to be fixed because if the problems are fixed, their reason to exist, their politics, ceases to have any hold in our society.
All right, that's an interesting point that he's making, the politics of grievance. Thanks for the raid, Mug Club. If you're here, we were talking a little bit about the unrest and disarray across the UK, but you join us in time on potentially Armageddon's brink, although I pray that what's brought about is a new regime of peace where through our inner connectivity, we're able to, at least for a moment or two or for the duration of this stream, transcend the terrors of increasing and inchoate global war to reflect on, for a second, Trump's birthday card to Epstein. Let me know in the comments and chat if you think this is that meant to be it? Was someone drawn? Is that decorative or is that meant to be the card itself?
I think that's it.
There must be more to life than having everything. Donald Jeffrey. Well, that's interesting. Donald Trump has addressed this, said it's not my signature and it's not the way I speak. Let's look at it.
It's not my signature and it's not the way I speak. And anybody that's covered me for a long time know that's not my language. It's nonsense. And frankly, you're wasting your time. All you do is trying to get off the great success of D.C. and about 200 other things we've done that are so successful. This is a great, great success, and we have so many. I don't think any president in their first 8 months has had anywhere near the success that we've had.
Amazing. Let's have a look at MSNBC covering it. They've sort of taken the time to and analyse the signature. Isn't it extraordinary that in this age of AI and potential near-peer warfare, division and despair, near ubiquitous poverty and a requirement for a great awakening and revival, that they're still doing handwriting analysis on MSNBC?
Below the signature that appears on the Epstein birthday letter. Now, obviously, they are different magnifications of those signatures and different...
Do you see? Let's see what Thomas Massey's saying about it. I think we're trying to get Thomas Massey to come on the show. We might be in DC next week. Let's have a look what he's saying.
Do you think that it does bear on the credibility of the people who are trying to keep these documents from being released? I mean, it's sort of indicative of the things that might come out if we were to release all of the files. In other words, embarrassing, but...
No, you know what? They have managed to make the Epstein files seem somewhat remote and boring. I don't think about it as much as I used to. I've kind of let go of that idea. Have you? Let me know in the comments and chat if you can hold on to something. In the end, the news cycle's so blustering and incessant, it's difficult to cling to a single piece of information. And as someone who's done this for years now, like made various videos, first on YouTube, and I suppose stand-up comedy for years and years, you start in the end to notice certain cycles and a kind of passing of a perpetual baton of where people get into government and blame the previous government. The confinement of conversation takes place with what appear to be mutually agreed lines. People talking about the amount of tax that you'd pay or the amount of aid that should be given to a foreign nation. Far less frequent are conversations that would themselves radically alter the way that we live. In my heart, is that we don't ask enough. And I don't mean motivated by self and the hope of pleasure or even fulfillment, but through the love of God and through the realization and manifestation of so much technological and material advance. We might be living so differently now. We might be living in a world of consciousness and awareness. I was watching that film, The Martian, last night, which seems like a pretty atheistic movie, actually. Like, there's a point where he died, after he first grows life, for example, it cuts to his funeral on Earth. And it seems like it's a really, really brilliant film, but I think what it's advocating for is man's expertise and how science can replace the need and requirement for God. While I was watching it, though, what I was struck by is that there is so much ingenuity and brilliance and excellence and expertise in the upper echelons of any institution. There are people that know how to grow plants under extraordinary conditions. There are medical advancements that are brilliant. In the age of communication, miracles abound and are around us that we don't even query or question anymore, like the one that we're using right now. And what is it ultimately used for? To sell products, to advance ideas that are probably detrimental. We find it very difficult to get in the ring on subjects that matter, like we've normalized toxicity, that we've normalized eating food that's so full of chemicals and sugar that we're sort of basically poisoning our kids. We're indoctrinating despair. And I, based on the first 6 months, don't think that Trump or Kamala Harris or anybody is going to resolve that. The reason I remain not enchanted but captivated by Bobby Kennedy is because I think that when you watch the particular battle and particular mission that he's undertaking, it does amount to confronting that power. Whilst we might have initially hoped that there would be an end to pharmacological advertising, that's not going to happen. What's more likely to happen is sort of endless disclaimers. This product may cause, this product may cause. I've got so much to talk to you about when it comes to vaccines, autism. We're going to be covering that in a little more detail, I think, in the coming weeks. But I just want to let you know that I personally find it difficult to continually get it up for arguments about which side of a cultural war, which is basically aligned when it comes to your purpose here is to work, your purpose here is to spend money, your purpose here is to consume. That's not your purpose here. It's not my purpose here. We're not supposed to be corralled and crunched and hunched below such low ceilings and such low expectations. There's so much happening above us and around us. What was I going to show you there quickly? Shane Gillis. If Shane Gillis is saying anything on any subject, I'll have a little look at it because He's pretty funny.
That's insane that they're just being like, yeah, no, everything was cool, above board, don't worry.
It's like Trump dog.
Yeah.
It's tough not to fucking point some fingers.
Huge question.
He got killed while you were president.
Yeah.
And you were there. There's so many photos of them chilling.
Allegedly hung with his staff.
I know.
Allegedly hung with his staff.
The cope on Trump's innocent. The cope is fucking pretty intense. Yeah, he did go to the island and he just hung out with the staff, dude. The staff said that. Was the staff 12?
I know. Who knew John McAfee?
I think everyone was hanging out with the staff.
Yeah, true. Yeah. The massagers. Yeah, the John McAfee was he was the one who allegedly was trying to bring it down. I don't know if that's just internet folklore. But yeah, turns out he was... It's funny to be taken down as a pedophile by a guy who's getting shit on like a neighboring island. Just being like, this isn't right. We gotta take this down. Yeah, dude, that shit, that was pretty... Well, there's the thing. They were never going to release it. That was like, it became apparent. Like, they're not fucking like, oh, those trillionaires.
Did you see him... Somebody brought it up at a meeting and Trump was like, are you guys still talking about Epstein? It's like, that's crazy. There's so much other stuff going on. I can't believe you're bringing up Epstein. Are you serious? God, get a life. You guys are obsessed with this shit. What the fuck? No one even cares. Yeah, it's so long ago. The guy killed himself and he was innocent. What the hell?
In a minute, what we're going to have a quick look at is the changes being brought by RFK within the HHS and the considerable challenges that he faces while trying to bring that about. So stay with us. Before that, though, here's a quick message from one of our partners. Oh, actually... Before even that, you were talking about the Bill Gates', someone in the chat was talking about Bill Gates' butter made out of sheer air, carbon butter. Yeah, that's what the world needs, Bill. Butter made out of air. We've made a brilliant video about that. We'll post that. We'll post the link to that in the description. If you're not watching this on YouTube, get over on Rumble and join us here. See you in a second. You're unhealthy, and people feel sick and tired of looking at and listening to you.
You talking to me?
That's why you need Balance of Nature, baby. What makes Balance of Nature unique? Their supplements are the result of years of research and are manufactured under the current good manufacturing practices with regular third-party lab testing. They never add sugar or anything artificial. Any sugars occur naturally. How did that sugar get in there? It occurred naturally. It better have done. Balance of Nature delivers the phytonutrients that naturally occur in 47 whole fruits, vegetables, spices, and fibers. Their fruits and veggie supplements include 31 colorful ingredients like mango, pineapple, wild blueberries, spinach, kale, and broccoli. Their fiber and spice blend features 4 whole fibers. Psyllium husk. I've had that psyllium husk. That's good stuff. Flaxseed, whole apple, and monk fruit. You dirty pigs. Plus 12 aromatic spices such as cinnamon, turmeric, and cardamom. More than 90% of Americans don't get enough dietary fiber. Come on, be honest. You're one of them.
Well, I'm the only one here.
Balance of Nature makes it easy. No bags. Who needs a bag? No mess. Who needs a mess? Just clean, quality ingredients with a long shelf life. Take them with water. Chew them. Mix them into food or drinks or push them ever so gently. Don't you dare. That was a test. Balance of Nature supplements are vegan, kosher, right, Isaac? And gluten-free. Check the label. You'll see ingredients you can actually pronounce. Maybe not psyllium husk. I still get confused with that one. Experience the original balance of color, taste, and stink, just as nature intended. You want to stink what's good, don't you, honey? Balance of Nature. And sign up now as a new preferred customer with a code Russell to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Hurry, for God's sake, like your life depended on it, because it does. Because as I said at the beginning of this rather long and difficult commercial, you are revolting and unhealthy.
Who the do you think you're talking to?
I love you, but, buy the thing. It helps us. Hey, yeah! If you're watching us on YouTube, go on, get out of here. We can't keep entertaining you while you're on YouTube. Not for long, but do the thing. Right, we got that Anna Paulina Luna coming on pretty soon, I think. We might go. Jesus would not kill all Palestinians. Well done, Holmar 73. I don't think Jesus will be down with any kid. I think there's stuff about kindness in the Bible. We'll have a little look. Hey, so do you have that Anna Paulina Luna thing? Because I think we're speaking to her next week. We might be in DC. Let's have a look at what Anna Paulina Luna's been saying. It seems like they're talking about missiles being shot out of the air by UFO technology. After that, we're going to be talking about RFK's attempt to ban pharmaceutical advertising on TV and the compromises that appear to have had to have been made. And Dr. Tony Rogers, who testified